Good morning, you guys. It's Lisa from Creative Soul-Journs. I am here. I do realize a little bit late, and I know that I promised I'd be here at 9. And for those of you that were here at 9 and saw my message about coming at 9:30 instead, I want to apologize. I do want to respect your time, and I just want to explain a little bit about what's going on in my life. And the reason why I want to explain this to you isn't because I need to make excuses or anything like that, but I do realize that when it comes to finding time to be creative, or to create a piece of art, or to work on a journal, or just for creative time for yourself, I do realize that life comes and gets in the way. And that is kind of why I want to talk a little bit about what is going on here in this space that I am at right now. My father-in-law, about a month ago, maybe a little bit over a month ago, ended up in the hospital. He almost died. We found him unconscious with pneumonia. So apparently he had it a while and never told anyone. He wasn't feeling well. He had, one of his lungs was completely filled up. He spent a week in the hospital having IV antibiotics, and then he spent another 2 weeks. So it's been about 5 weeks, because he spent another 2 weeks in rehab after that, and he's been home approximately 2 weeks now. And my sister and brother-in-law are up from Atlanta and taking care of him, but they're going to be going back. And what's going on is that he's not progressing, and we're wondering if it's physically he's fine. The doctors have all said his heart is strong, everything's strong, the infection is gone. He still is struggling to increase his lung capacity, which is to be expected with pneumonia, but and I do realize that takes time, but the issue is more that he's sitting in a chair all day waiting for his body to feel better. And if he doesn't push himself, it's not going to. So anyway, my husband is running out to his house today to do some things for him. And we just had to have a conversation. And I don't know why, but those conversations always have to happen right when I'm supposed to be doing something, because that's how the enemy works. He infiltrates those spaces that you've carved out for yourself. And this is why I wanted to tell you what is going on, because I want you to extend yourself a little bit of grace. If you say, this is the time that I want to carve out for myself and it's what I'm going to do, I want you to realize that life is going to come in and, hi Dottie, and it's going to say, no, I don't want you to be creative. I don't want you to do what would fill your soul and make you happy. I want you to do this instead. I want you to be living in this other place. And I feel personally, so the enemy works in a lot of different ways, and it's all individual to that person. But what I find for me is that the enemy comes in and takes my creative time, because creativity is what fills my soul. So I guess the effort there is to combat that enemy's plan and be creative anyway. So if that means you only get 5 minutes of creativity, that's okay. You know, extend yourself a little bit of grace. It's 5 minutes today, it's 10 minutes tomorrow, maybe the next day it's back to 5 minutes, and then 15 next week. And sometimes you'll miss some days, and that's just how life seems to be. But I think that we can pick ourselves back up and say, no, creativity is calling to my soul, and I simply need to make the time to do that. Even if that time is 10 o'clock at night, just before you are, hi Mary, just before you are going to bed. And it's just a little bit of time that you're spending in your journal being creative. And by creative, it doesn't necessarily mean painting an artwork. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to start a whole new series of paintings or of carvings or whatever it is that you do. It can be sketching out an idea of something that you would really like to do, even if it's just time spent traveling, but when we create something visual, even if it's not a painting or a drawing or a sketch or a whatever, when we create something visual, this is the benefit of visual journaling, even if you're not a visual artist, excuse me, creating something visual helps our brains to realize that thing. It puts it inside of us in a different way than writing a sentence about it, or and there's a lot of benefit to writing things down and to creating a paragraph of the things that you want to do. But visualization helps our brains to form certain pathways that, because your brain actually doesn't know. I'm sorry, I know I'm all over the place. It was a really long conversation this morning. A little grace, thank you for your grace. It helps our brains to be able to see the reality of what we want to see happen, okay? And this is actually science. It's not like, I hate the word manifesting just simply because it sounds like a very woo-woo kind of thing, like I'm pulling it out of nowhere. And scientifically, that's not actually what happens. When we visualize something, it forms pathways in our brain. And the more often we visualize that specific thing, those pathways get stronger and stronger and stronger. So yes, it is a manifestation of what we want to see happen, but it is also scientific, where it's brain science, and I don't want to get into all of that today. Maybe along our journey this summer, we will talk a little bit more about this brain science. But for today, I just want you to understand that that visualizing these things that you want to see happen in your life, whether they're creative things or, a life journey, or I'm not really sure what your forward motion is going to be. Only you can determine what that is, what your desires are, what God is putting on your heart for this next season of your life. Putting that down in a journal in a visual way, and it is going to help you to realize those things a little bit more strongly than just simply writing them down. So today wasn't actually about talking about that, because that's just something that that came in and that happened. And if you missed the whole very beginning of this, at 9 o'clock, my husband was talking to me about what we are going to do with my father-in-law, who does not seem to want to get better from pneumonia. He says he wants to get better, but he refuses to work towards it. So this is the conversation we were having. I know there are a lot of people who are dealing with this kind of thing, or who have in the past. And it's not that I don't think he needs help. I absolutely do. But it's this determination, and this is for you guys too. It's a determination to move toward that thing that you want to see happen. This is going to be really, really important for you guys. And yes, there will be things that are going to come in and seek to stop you from those things that you want to do creatively, or for your life, or whatever it is that you're focusing on. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was cultivating a space, a time, and beauty. So that's what I entitled this today, and it's about finding a place to work on those things that we're going to be working on this summer. And what I've decided to do, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll do a live at 9 o'clock. I can't promise how long or how short it will be. It won't be any longer than an hour. I promise I will try to keep my words to a minimum so that we can work on these tutorials. But all 3 days will be live. I think that's probably going to work out best for me, because I don't know what my summer is going to look like with my father-in-law at this point. So what we're going to be working on, I will put in the description below, after this is done, the different things that we're going to be focusing on. If you watched my last live, every 2 weeks, we're going to move on to a different type of supply or implement or process, but it's going to be kind of focused around florals and landscape and, nature, things that you see in nature. So maybe we'll draw a pine cone, maybe we'll paint a tree. At this point, I don't have that as a solid plan yet. The only thing that I know is that the first 2 weeks are going to be drawing, graphite, stuff like that. If you don't belong to the Art Journal Jam group, please do that, because this is technically supposed to be in there. And it's just been one of those mornings where my head's gone, blah, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just got kind of pushed off the path a little bit. But as I'm getting back on here, that is where I will be having the live videos on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that begins the tutorials. The summer sessions actually are going to begin June 6th, but I will be doing a lot of things before then, kind of like this little session right here is about cultivating a place. So right now, I'm in sitting on the couch in my studio space that I am currently working on, and I love having this couch. So I just got this couch in February, January, something like that, and it sits against one wall. It's a great place to do videos with you guys, but I have to admit that although all of my supplies live in my studio, most often where I find myself creating is in a corner of my living room, looking out the window at my garden, because that's what fills me. Or If it's warm enough, I will be out in my garden. I've done that in the past. I'm sure you know. I have actually in that that group, I have all of the videos from when I was doing the other summer seasons and summer sessions that I've done. And this is my garden journal. If any of you were with me then and you remember my garden journal and all of the work that we did in that. So this might be the book that we're working on. We're not going to do two separate ones. I just think it'll be too much for you guys to do, but I think we might work on a garden journal just like this, which has a large area for working on, I have things falling out right now, a large area for working on larger pieces. Mine are made with mixed media paper, but you can make it with watercolor paper, whatever you like. You can use mixed papers, whatever. And then some small ones for doing some journaling and doing some little minor sketching for like studies for the bigger pieces. So anyway, my first 2 weeks is graphite. The second 2 weeks is colored pencils and pastels, and that would include watercolor pencils. The third week is watercolors, which will also include those watercolor pencils. I'm sorry, the fifth and sixth week is watercolors. So it's 10 weeks altogether. And then it's acrylics, and it's 2 weeks for each piece. Then it's acrylics, then it's oils. And we're going to do different things, but it will all be kind of focused around florals and that kind of thing. So there is no charge for this. Just join the group, because I am going to make sure that that is done within the group. I'll be sharing all of these pre-videos on my regular page, which is where you're finding yourself right now, because that's where I put it by accident. But even when I do them in the group, I'll be sharing them to my regular page. But once the summer session starts, it will only be in the group. So definitely plan on joining that if you haven't already. Excuse me. So cultivating that space, I think is really important. Even if you only keep like some really basic supplies in that space, you want it to be somewhere where you're comfortable, where it's quiet, where you don't have to worry about where you might be leaving some things around. You know, like if you're one of those really neat freak people, which I am not, but if you are, I mean, that's totally fine. But if it's going to make you anxious to leave art supplies sitting on the table in your living room, you might not want to choose your living room. I would choose a space where you are absolutely comfortable with leaving things out or leaving them easily accessible. So this is one of those things that can keep you from moving into that creative space, is having to gather all of these things every time you want to create. So even if you have like a really large box or maybe a cart. So I have this cart, and I want to show you the cart really quick. It's right here. So I'm sure you've seen them like at Michael's. Mine has a lid, so it makes it like a tabletop, but I keep a lot of supplies in here. You could have something like that and then put a tablecloth over the top of it. And then when you want to create, you could just pull the tablecloth off, and there are all your supplies, and you don't have to worry about leaving them out. You can make it as cute as you want, maybe even put a vase of flowers on top. And and then, you know, that will be there ready and accessible for you. having to put your things away every single time, like clean them up and get them out every single time you want to move into that space or move out of that space is it's gonna make it difficult. You might do it the first several days, maybe even the first week, but that is a hard thing to maintain. You want to make this as easy as possible, number one. Number two, you want to find a time that is going to be where it will be quiet, where you're not going to be interrupted by the phone or the husband or what have you. If you need to put up a sign that says I'm creating, I'm creating, do that, and just let them know ahead of time, I need a half an hour to myself or an hour to myself where I can be quiet and I can be creative and I can connect with that creative part of my soul, which connects most deeply with God. So this is what it's all about. It's like moving into that space, and if you're really quiet, your soul is going to be able to hear over time the voice of God coming through that creativity. So our God is a creative God. He began this entire world by being creative. He created the heavens and the earth. It's the very first thing in the Bible that says that. And I truly, truly believe that when we move into that creative space, we are connecting most deeply with who God is. So that's kind of my point of creating, and everybody has a different creative expression, but I want to help you over this summer session. I want to help you to move into that quiet space where you're hearing God, where you're hearing the Holy Spirit, and where you're allowing that to come out most authentically in the things that you're creating. Now, I like to create florals, and I really hope that you do those things along with me. But any of this can be, like if you like to draw animals, you can actually use a lot of the same processes that we'll be working on to draw cats or draw your dogs or draw squirrels out on the tree or the bunny out in the middle of the yard or what have you. It's all nature. I love to do that stuff too. Animals is just not my forte. I'm more drawn to the florals and the trees and the, those types of things. But again, a lot of the processes that we're doing, you can use in a lot of different ways. So I encourage you to come, even if florals isn't your gig. Number three. So number one is finding a great creative space and having your implements ready. Number two is choosing a time that really works best for you, where you can be quiet and uninterrupted. If you need to leave your phone outside in your car so that you can't hear it ringing or dinging, maybe you need to do that. And that's probably going to be my issue more than anything, is that I need to do that. I have to say, I'm still in my pajamas because of how my morning has gone. And I think that's okay. So if you need to move into that time, if your time is 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's the only time you get to yourself, then let it be 5 o'clock in the morning. And if you're still in your pajamas and you're doing your whatever it is that you're doing, that's good. Have a cup of coffee nearby, maybe light a candle, create that atmosphere of peace for you. So if that's looking out a window onto your garden or even being in your garden, it's beautiful. So that brings us to number three. So find beauty. Surround yourself with beauty, things that you find beautiful, not things that I find beautiful, things that you find beautiful. Like, I love this thing. I don't know why. I just absolutely love it. When I come and I sit down on this couch, I'm inspired to be creative. So that is the purpose of surrounding yourself with beauty. If you love to have fresh flowers in a vase right nearby, then I think that you should do that. Create beauty around yourself so that you will be inspired and be brought into that place of peace. So I think that even when we decorate our houses or choose furniture or put pictures on a wall, I think that we choose all of those things because it's something that we really enjoy. It's something that we really like. And regardless of whether somebody else appreciates what's on our walls, we appreciate it. And we find it beautiful and we find it inspiring. We love to sit in it. It brings us to that place of feeling peaceful, feeling like we're surrounded by things that we love. And I think that that helps to bring us more deeply into that place that I was talking about, that creative soul place. So decorating your house is a creative act. So maybe you're a room designer or a garden designer, which I wanted to be at one point in time, but physically I don't think I could do it, and I think that's why I never ended up doing it. But I have always wanted to create beautiful spaces in my yard, like little pockets that I could go into, and I could sit and think and pray and create with God in those spaces. So I've been working on cultivating those places. I put a new one in last year, which was a lot of fun. It was a little bit chaotic, and I find that I'm redoing a lot of things over there this year, but that's okay because I love to work in my garden. If gardening isn't your thing, don't worry about it. So find out what is your thing, what you find beautiful. Cultivate that space that you can be creative in. Find that time where you can be uninterrupted. Surround yourself with beautiful things so that you're inspired. So that is my message for today. I hope that gets you moving toward being prepared for when we begin our creative journey on June 6th. Again, if you don't belong to the Art Journal Jam, a creative Soul-Journ adventure, that is a really, really long name for that group. Don't remember why it ended up being that. I will probably cut it back to something smaller at some point, but for right now, that's what it is. I will put a link in the comments down below. After I get done here, I will do that, and I will also comment with a link to, well, no, actually I don't have to. If you join the group, the supply list and the supply video that I did on Friday is in that group. So I think the list, it's a PDF file. It's in the files section. So you can get that there. You can print it off and it will have everything that you need. Good morning, Linda. How are you? So that's just about all I have to say today. I appreciate you guys extending me a little bit of grace this morning. I'm going to try my best to hit that 9 o'clock time that I want to hit. We're kind of putting together a schedule with my father-in-law moving forward. We're going to be doing that today. So I'm claiming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning to be right here sitting on this couch with you, or out in the garden, or in the living room. I don't know. We might find ourselves in a lot of different places. I might even end up on the side of the road somewhere by a farm painting sheep. You just never know how that's gonna go with me. So that's how I roll. You know, I'm a very intuitive person. I don't write these things out ahead of time. I have a vague idea of what God wants me to talk to you about, and I just roll and I let him inform whatever it is that you need to hear. So extend yourself a little bit of grace. Know that life is going to happen, and if you don't do it today, it's okay. Do it tomorrow. But make sure that you always keep that in your mind to move toward that being creative, no matter what that is that looks. You want to go paint sheep with me? Linda, I'm totally coming to pick you up, and we're going to go do that. But you know, the live's at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'll have to be picking you up and taking you like around 8:30, you know, to get set up and everything. So hope you're up that early. Okay, you guys, I love you. I am so appreciative of you being here with me and being on this journey with me. And don't forget, Monday, Memorial Day morning, 9 o'clock a.m., we're making our book. If you can't make it on Memorial Day, usually the Memorial Day stuff doesn't start till a little bit later. So as long as you're not having a big hullabaloo at your house, I'm sure you could probably make it. I think it's a great way to start the official summer season. Would be to make that book, and then the following Monday will be when we start our journey together. So Wednesday I will be back here. Don't know what that looks like yet. God hasn't informed me of that, so I'm waiting to hear on what exactly it is that he wants you to hear on Wednesday. So I will see you then with the next little preparation video that we will be doing together. All right, you guys, have a great, beautiful day. Cultivate space, find that perfect time, and surround yourself with some beauty today. Bye, you guys.